Is he okay? Ryan? 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 Call 911. Come on, buddy. Ryan. Talk to me.
So SADS is an acronym. It stands for Sudden Arrhythmia Death Syndromes and includes a variety of disorders that we're learning more and more about every day.
SADS conditions refer to a group of diseases that interfere with either the electrical or muscle systems of the heart. This causes abnormal heart activity. Even though the conditions have always existed, they didn't have the term SADS to describe them until recently. This has made awareness of the shared warning signs dangerously low.
The SADS conditions seem to be characterized by an increased incidence of warning signs such as fainting during exertion, fainting during excitement or agitation, or a family history of those sorts of faints or sudden death.
Michaela Ahern was a competitive figure skater and in university when she recognized that something was not right.
It started in the morning in class, and it felt like someone was pounding on the inside of my ribcage, and it was skipping beats. So I was too embarrassed to go to the emergency room because I had already been there and they said it was normal.
Despite being told it was just stress, Michaela persisted in getting the attention she needed.
I went home 2 weeks later, around there, for reading week on Friday night, and I had a seizure at home. And then that's when I was readmitted, and at that point they said that I wasn't going to go home until I had an ICD put in.
Because fainting is so common, the warning signs for SADS can easily be missed. But any time a young person faints during exercise or excitement, they should have a cardiac assessment to avoid the worst-case scenario.
Stephen was a third-year history student at Queen's, and he was doing the final semester of his third year at their campus in the south of England. It was a beautiful spring day in April 2002, and he went out for a run to get away from the books and told his girlfriend Avery and their other friends that he'd be back by dinner time. He collapsed, and by the time some motorists passed him on this country road, it was too late. He had died. We learned afterward, his girlfriend told us that he had fainted when he was running a couple of times before.
It's incredible. I think it's one of the most amazing
You may recognize
things for everybody
Dr.
to see in
Greg
our
Wells
entire
from his
lives.
work
It's a great
explaining
example
issues
of the
affecting
extreme
elite
limits that
athletes
humans
during the
can push
Vancouver
themselves to.
Olympics.
If you think
He's
about what
familiar
happened
with
in that
SADS
match,
because
they
of all the
walked
high-profile
50
deaths that have happened in athletes, and he wants to get the word out that this affects people all across the board.
We're at a point now where society is becoming aware of sudden arrhythmia death syndrome. Unfortunately, it's happened because there's been a number of high-profile cases in the media. People might think that it's mostly a problem that athletes have, but the reality is that the athletes are the ones who are in the news. Fainting during exercise isn't normal. Dizziness during exercise isn't normal. Those are the warning signs that need to be taken seriously so that we can make sure that if there is an underlying problem, it is diagnosed properly, and the young person who's involved in physical activity can return to participation safely.
Because awareness around SADS conditions is currently low, the warning signs can be mistaken for other illnesses, leading to tragic outcomes.
For 6 years, we were outpatients at our children's hospital. Many visits, many phone calls and messages to neurologists, to cardiologists with Jessica. But the last time we were there was about, I guess about 6 or 7 months before she passed away, and he turned to Jessica and he said, "You need to go home and learn how to breathe through this." And he turned to me and he said, "And don't waste your money on an ambulance."
Every time your daughter has an episode. I was very fortunate. My last words were, "I love you."
Families that have had these devastating losses are speaking out to increase awareness that can save lives and spare others of the agony of losing a child. Because these are inherited conditions, the lives you save by knowing about this are very likely to be in your own family.
So these conditions, because they're genetic, they don't just affect you, the patient, but it has implications for the rest of your family. You share half of your genes with your siblings, your parents, your children, so they each have a 50% chance of also having this genetic risk factor. You know, it's a hard thing to go through, but when someone's diagnosed, whether it's because they've had symptoms or because there's been a tragedy in the family where someone has died unexpectedly, we say that the good that can come out of a diagnosis is that it can save someone else's life in the family.
The good news is that SADS conditions are treatable and manageable to live with. Donata Leuenberger was diagnosed when she was 10. Her son Simon was diagnosed when he was 5.
So Simon has to take his medication 3 times a day, 6:30 in the morning with breakfast, and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which he's just demonstrated, and 10 o'clock at night.
They also monitor their activity level, and Simon has regular checkups to monitor his heart. Other than that, they live normal, productive lives, and they encourage other parents to pursue testing if they see the warning signs.
It is important that parents, coaches, teachers, people who are aware of a warning sign having occurred, get that young person referred to a physician, preferably a specialist with familiarity with these conditions.
It's a treatable disease. It's treatable. $14 a month medication at the best case scenario, and ICD for worst case.
My message to other parents is, if you think your child has these symptoms, don't second guess it. Go and get tested.
You can live more than a normal life. You can live a beautiful life, I think.